Imagine a building that, even after 2,500 years, can still teach us about math, art, and history.
It's incredible. It's like a stone textbook that shows how the ancient world saw science and beauty as, well, the exact same thing. We're talking about the Parthenon.
That's our focus today. We're going to figure out why this building exists, uncover the brilliant architectural tricks that fool your eyes, and get into why it's still so important today.
Okay, so to get the Parthenon, you first have to picture where it is. It's on the Acropolis in Athens.
Which literally means high city. It's this huge, flat-topped rock that just towers over everything.
Exactly. And they started building it in 447 BC, right at the peak of the Greek Empire's power. It was a temple built to honor their protector goddess, Athena.
And they used the best material they could find, this brilliant white marble from a place called Mount Pentelicus.
And they put it on that hill for a reason. It was meant to be seen from miles away, from both land and sea.
It wasn't just a temple. It was basically a giant billboard for Athenian power.
And the style of that billboard is what we call Doric. It's the oldest and simplest of the main Greek architectural styles. It's all about strength.
You can really see that in the columns. They're huge, 34 feet tall. And they're classic Doric because, for one, they don't have a base. They just sit right on the floor.
And the top part, the capital, is just this very simple, kind of round cushion shape. No fancy details, just clean, powerful lines.
And that clean lined approach applies to the whole layout. It feels perfectly balanced. There are 8 columns across the front and back and 17 along each side.
That 8x17 plan gives it this incredible sense of symmetry.
Yeah.
And because those columns go all the way around the building, it gets a technical name, a peripteral temple.
Okay, now for the really mind-bending part, the part that's a full-on math lesson.
Yeah.
Everyone assumes the Parthenon is made of straight lines.
But that's the biggest illusion of all. There's almost no such thing as a perfectly straight line in the entire building.
Why? Why would they do that?
Because the builders knew that if they made it perfectly straight, our eyes would trick us into seeing it as flawed. A long, flat line, to the human eye, looks like it's sagging in the middle.
So they had to build curves into it to make it look straight.
Precisely. They use 3 main optical tricks. The first one is the floor. It isn't flat.
What do you mean?
The whole platform the columns stand on is actually curved. It rises about 4 inches in the center, like a very, very subtle arch.
4 inches, so you wouldn't feel it if you were walking on it.
Not at all. It's so gradual you'd never notice.
Yeah.
But your eye sees the edge as a perfect level line because of that curve. It's genius.
Okay, so that's trick number 1. What's the second?
The columns, none of them are standing perfectly straight up and down.
You're kidding?
Nope. Every single column leans inward, just a tiny bit, toward the center of the building.
How much?
Only about 2.5 inches over their whole height. But it's just enough to stop the building from looking like it's bulging outwards at the top. It makes it feel more stable.
Wow. And the third trick?
That's in the shape of the columns themselves. It's a technique called antithesis.
Antithesis. What's that?
It means the columns have a slight bulge in the middle. Think of it like a muscle flexing. If they were perfectly straight cylinders, they'd look too thin, almost weak from a distance.
So the bulge makes them look stronger, like they can really handle the weight of that massive roof.
That's the idea. So every single stone was cut just a little bit differently to create this perfect visual experience for the person looking at it.
So once you walk past those amazing columns, you get to the inner room, the cella. And this wasn't for the public, right?
Right. This was the sacred part. And the cella was split into 2 rooms. The bigger room, which faced east, was basically just a house for the main attraction.
And the smaller room in the back?
That was the treasury. They kept the city's money and valuable gifts in there. Super secure.
So that main attraction in the big room was the statue of Athena Parthenos.
Created by the most famous artist in Athens, Phidias. And it was just colossal. We're talking almost 40 feet tall.
And the materials were just unbelievable.
Her skin was made of carved ivory. But her clothes and her armor were covered in more than 2,000 pounds of pure gold plates.
2,000 pounds of gold.
Yeah. And the craziest part is that the gold plates could be removed if the city ever needed cash, like for a war. The statue was both a holy object and the city's savings account.
That is amazing. It's so sad that it was destroyed centuries ago. But let's go back outside because the building was also covered in art.
Oh, yeah. 3 major types of carvings that told all of Athens' most important stories. High up, above the columns, you had the metopes.
These are square panels, right? 92 of them.
Exactly. And they were carved in high relief, so the figures really popped out. They all showed these legendary battles.
Like Greeks fighting centaurs, the half-man, half-horse creatures.
Right, or the war against the Amazons. The theme was always the same. Civilization and order winning against chaos and barbarism.
Okay, so that's one type of carving. What was next?
Next was the Ionic frieze. This was one single, continuous carving that ran all the way around the top of the inner wall. It was 524 feet long.
And this one wasn't about myths. It showed something real.
It showed a real event, the Panathenea Festival. It was a huge parade to honor Athena, and you see regular people in it. Young men on horseback, musicians, everyday citizens.
That was pretty unusual for a temple to show regular people instead of just gods and heroes.
A very big deal. It shows how important the citizens were in their own city's story. And finally, you have the biggest statues of all in the pediments.
The big triangular spaces at the front and back under the roof.
Yep, and these statues were fully 3D, carved all the way around. One end showed the birth of Athena, springing from the head of Zeus.
And the other showed the contest between Athena and Poseidon over who would be the patron god of the city.
These carvings basically set the standard for what amazing art looked like for hundreds of years.
Now, here's something that I think will surprise a lot of people. When we picture the Parthenon, we see white marble.
That's all we see today. But originally, it was an explosion of color.
You mean it was painted?
Absolutely painted. Artists used bright reds, deep blues, and gold to paint the backgrounds of the carvings so the figures would stand out. In the sunlight, it would have been dazzling.
So the pure white classical look is just an accident of time. The sun and rain basically bleached it.
That's all it is. And its purpose changed over time, too. It wasn't always a Greek temple.
Right. In the 5th century AD, it became a Christian church.
Dedicated to the Virgin Mary.
Yeah.
And then, hundreds of years later, when the Ottoman Empire ruled Greece, it was turned into a mosque.
They even added a minaret, one of those tall prayer towers, to the corner.
But the worst damage happened in 1687. There was a war, and the Ottomans were using the Parthenon to store gunpowder.
That sounds like a terrible idea.
It was. A Venetian cannonball hit the building, the gunpowder exploded, and it just blew the middle of the Parthenon apart. The roof collapsed, sculptures were destroyed. That's how it became the ruin we see today.
Which leads us to a really big modern debate. The Elgin marbles.
Right. In the early 1800s, a British diplomat named Lord Elgin took about half of the surviving carvings.
He shipped them to England.
He did. He said he was trying to protect them from being destroyed further. And today, they're in the British Museum in London.
But Greece says they were stolen and that they belong back in Athens.
It's a huge ongoing debate about who really owns ancient art. And Greece has built this beautiful modern museum right next to the Acropolis with an empty gallery, just waiting for the sculptures to come home.
While that debate goes on, the work to preserve the Parthenon itself never stops.
It's a massive high-tech effort. They use computers to figure out where thousands of broken marble fragments fit, like a giant 3D puzzle.
And they use new materials to fix it, right?
Yeah, they use titanium rods to hold stones together now, instead of iron, because titanium doesn't rust and expand, which would crack the marble.
So the goal isn't to make it look brand new.
Not at all. It's to stop any more damage from happening, especially from things like air pollution, and to keep this incredible symbol standing for the future.
The Parthenon really proves that the greatest achievements happen when perfect science meets incredible art. It really makes you wonder what we're building today that people will still be studying in 2,500 years.
That's the real legacy of the Parthenon. It's a masterpiece that keeps challenging us. See you next time.
Good luck with your studies.